show you the Real Techniques Bold Metal Collection brushes that I picked up. And I picked up 4 of the 7 brushes that are available in the collection. The reason being, I kind of had myself budgeted to around €100, even though these 4 have gone over that a little bit, and I didn't want to spend much more than that. So that's why I decided to pick what I thought would be my kind of, what I liked the look of the best, the 4 that I liked the look of the best, if you know what I mean. But I'll let you know about the other ones as I go along. And I did take a photo when I was in Boots earlier on today of the prices, so you'll be able to see them, or I'll let you know what those are as we go along. So there are 7 brushes, as I said, and these are being touted as premium brushes, so more high-end, even though they are available in Boots. But the way Samantha and Nicola even, Chapman said is that they are high-end brushes available in the high street. So it's what you would expect to see in a high-end shop or in a premium department store or whatever, but they want them to be more accessible for everyone. That's why they have them available in Boots. And they are, as far as I know, they are only available in Boots in the UK and Ireland, and in Ulta, I think. I'm nearly sure it's Ulta in America. Now, one thing interesting that I learned while watching the girls' videos, like the Pixie Boo's video about these, is that Real Techniques is actually an American brand. It's not British at all, and I thought that it was actually kind of founded by the girls, and it's not at all. They were just brought on board a couple of years ago or a few years ago to be co-creators. So basically they're the faces of the brand, but they are involved in the actual process of making the brushes themselves. So that was interesting. I didn't know that at all, because I actually thought it was like a homegrown UK brand, but no, it's not. Anyhow, let's get back onto the brushes. So we will see pictures of them clean as we go along in the video, because I just used them for this tutorial, which will be up on Friday. But they come in these boxes. So the boxes are kind of mimic the shape of the brush, where they are much bigger and like more weighted at the top, and then they get very, very much tapered towards the end. They're made of like this, I don't know, is it like a chrome material, but there's 3 different colours, the same way there is with the normal Real Techniques brushes. You know, like there's the gold, there's the purple and the pink. So with here you have your gold, your purple, no, your gold, your rose gold and your silver. So those are the 3 colours that these guys come in, and they're like I said, there's 7 brushes. So the 100 range is the face brushes or base brushes, and you have your 100, which is a powder brush, which I didn't get, and you have your 101, which is your triangle brush. Then you have your 200 range, which is your eye brushes, and I got only one of these, so I got the 200, which is this just base eyeshadow brush. There's also like a pointed crease brush, which is kind of like the shape of a bullet, and then there's a tiny wee angled brush, and then the 300 range is your finishing brush, or your, like, you know, defining or like base defining brushes. So you have your 300, which is your Tapered Blush, which I love. I think this is my favourite one. And then your 301, which I thought would be my favourite and it wasn't, which is the tapered, no, this is like a contour brush. So I'll talk you through the ones I have anyhow. So this is the 101, and this is your triangle foundation brush. So this is a very, very unique shape. It is flat on one side, and on the other side it comes out in a peak. So it is essentially like a triangle from this way as well as this way, if you know what I mean. It is a synthetic. They are all synthetic, I'll say that. They are all synthetic because the girls wanted to stay cruelty free, but there is much more of a synthetic feel to this one than there is to the more powdery ones. Like these feel like they could be natural, whereas this one has a very plasticky synthetic feel to it. I wanted to love this brush, and so far I don't love it. It may grow on me, it may be a case of that it's such a unique and unusual shape that I'm so not used to. But say as I was using it, because like I said, it's a slightly more plasticky feel to the bristles, it was a little bit stabby as I was using it. So I think again you have to get used to how you're supposed to use it. It says on the brush that you're supposed to use the flat edges to cover large areas of the face. So that would be like this. And then the angled areas for contours around the nose and the mouth, which is what I was doing. So for the flat of the face, I would be using this flat side, and then for under the eyes and the side of the nose, I flipped it around because that actually does fit quite nicely in around the contours. But again, it's just the actual feel of the bristles that I found a little bit stabby, but like I said, I might just get used to that. So it is it is very, very unique, and it might take a few of you a while to get used to it. Now, one thing I will say about the brushes as well, they are what they call weighted up here at the top, so it, you know, there's much more of the brush up here. It also makes it heavier, and then it tapers to a very fine end. And the reason behind that is that it's meant to sit in your hand, and because there's no weight here, it's not going to be kind of like popping back like that. It'll actually sit very, very comfortably and very nicely in your hand, and it does. So they're thinking about makeup artists when they do this, you know, say where, for instance, when I was doing a wedding the last day, I had to do 7 faces. When you're working on that many faces in a row, you're doing hours of makeup, you want something to be comfortable in your hand. And it is comfortable for that reason. Now also there are ridges, like it's, I think they call it a diamond shape, or, you know, it's ridged anyhow at the end. So it's circular here, but it does, you know, it has corners. And the reason for that, the girl said, was so that when it sits on the table, it doesn't roll off, which actually is really, really handy. So that's that, and that's the gold one. There's 2 of these ones, of the gold, which is the 100 series, and the other one was the powder brush. I just didn't bother get that because I have a million powder brushes, so I wanted to get the ones that are a bit more unique. Next I'll move on to the rose gold, and I got the 2 available from the rose gold. Well, I'll tell you the price of the triangle one actually, and I have the Irish prices, and the Irish prices are worse than the UK prices and the US prices. The US prices are the best. But anyhow, this guy is 28. So that's €28. I think it was about maybe 22 in the UK. I'm just kind of guessing, but yeah, that's what that is. Now, the 2 rose gold series, which I do have to say I love the look of this, but I saw someone asking about, again underneath the Pixie video, if they tarnish, and they were like, no, we have no problems with that. But this one actually came tarnished, like someone's what would I call them, fingerprints are actually on this, and I can't wipe them off. So you know, it is discoloured, whether it be from the whatever oil or whatever was on the person's fingerprints when they were holding them. And when you actually get them in their boxes, they are kind of glued in, and then there's a little, what would I call it, like a little film, like what you get on the cover of your mobile phone when you get it, a really thin little film surrounding the centre of the brush with a big blob of glue at the back. So basically you'd know if it had been removed from the box or not, and it hadn't been, but there still is a tarnish. So I'll be interested to see maybe if that is just a once off or will tarnish, because I remember when the Zoeva brought out their rose gold collection, their first round of rose gold brushes did tarnish. Now they've since corrected that, but it could be something similar. Like I said, it might just be a once off though. It'll just be interesting to see. But anyhow, I got the 300, which is my favourite brush, and this is the tapered blush brush. So this guy is, I'll check the price for you now. This one is €31. So it is one of the more expensive ones. Yeah, because the only other one that's more expensive is the big powder brush, which is 32. And this is an extremely dense but beautifully shaped blush brush. And I actually prefer this because the regular Real Techniques blush brush, which is this guy here, is massive compared to it. And I know some people prefer the bigger brushes for blush, but I actually use this one for powder. It's too big for me, whereas I love this size for blush, and I'd also use it for contour and for highlight. It's a really, really lovely multifunctional brush. So this is definitely my favourite. It is really, really dense, which is another thing that I really like about it, and the hairs are really, really soft. So nothing like the hairs you get on this. They seem to be slightly different fibres. Really, really beautiful though, and you know, there's a little bit more pink at the base of the hairs as it goes up to the white tops, which is really pretty as well. Next I have the 301, which I thought would be my favourite, and I do like it, but it'll take a little bit getting used to because it is much more dense than what I'm used to in this kind of contour brush. So this is your flat contour brush. It's €28, and it's the heaviest of all the brushes. It's the most significant, but it's also like seems to be the most dense. I was going to say densest there. Anyhow, then yeah, so there is a lot of weight in that one compared to the other ones. Now the only other brush I have similar to that would be, I have a couple, but they're all like this. So say this is the Zoeva one, and you can see here that it's much more narrow than the Real Techniques one. It's similar shape when you're looking at this side, but this wouldn't be quite as dense, and I think that's nearly better, but it'll just be a case of getting used to this, because you get a better blend with something that's a little bit fluffy. And this is, you know, it is fluffy, but there's a lot of significance to it. Like, it's really, really dense. So you'd be worried that would actually move some of the product that you've like set underneath if you put too much pressure on it. So might be even better for maybe cream products rather than powder, but again, it'll just be a case of getting used to it, because I've only used this a couple of times so far. Beautiful looking brush though again. And one thing I should point out is that they remind me of the Sephora brushes. So this is my Sephora, what's it called? This is my modelling foundation brush, and you can see here it's a similar idea. Now, I thought these might have been a bit longer when I saw them in the package, but this little triangle at the end kind of makes it seem a bit longer than it is. When you take it out, they're not quite as long. So they're a little bit shorter than the Sephora one, but still very, very similar idea, even though this one is totally round or conical. So I do like the idea that these won't roll off the table on you. So yeah, really, really nice brush though. Again, it'll just take a bit of getting used to. And then there were three eye brushes available, which is the 200 series, and these are the silver ones. So obviously they're much smaller because they're for the eyes. There's this one, which is the base eyeshadow brush. Then there's also one like a bullet shaped one, say kind of like maybe something like this, but a little bit more tapered at the tip, if you know what I mean. And then there's also just a small angled brush. So I didn't really want another angled brush, and I don't tend to use those bullet shaped brushes a huge amount, and I have a gazillion of them, so that's why I said I'd go for this guy. So this is a nice brush. Again, it's very, very fluffy, much more dense than some of the other eyeshadow brushes that I have, and a lot bigger. So it's maybe a little bit bigger than what I would actually use for my eye shape. And because this is synthetic though, you could definitely use this for concealer. Now, Sam and Nick did say that you can use this to blend as well, but it's almost a little bit too dense to blend. Again, kind of a similar idea to this. It's just more dense than what I would be used to when it comes to blending. I'll give you the prices anyhow. So this one is €20. The one that's the bullet shape is €16, and then the smaller angled one is €13. Definitely higher prices than what you're used to, but as the girls themselves explained, they are the premium brushes, you know, kind of aimed towards the professional and, like, you know, the hardcore makeup addicts. Or and then another thing, of course, is because it's a US brand, which I wasn't aware of beforehand, and I think a lot of people won't have been aware of that before. You are dealing with it being imported into Ireland and the UK and other countries, which of course adds VAT and all that. So again, another really, really lovely looking brush. I think I may use this for the face though more than for the eyes going forward, just because of the size of it. It is a lot bigger than what I'd be used to. Maybe not, you know, I have other blending brushes that are nearly as big as it, but they are much more fluffy, like, you know, they're not as dense. So just with the density of this, I think I'd use it more maybe for concealer. And those are the four that I have anyhow. I do think they're lovely brushes. All in all, these ones cost me $28.20, so it's 48, it's $28.99, so €107 for all these four. And there are 3 others to get, so €107. It would cost you, let me do the math, 139, €168 to get all 7 of them. So you know, not the cheapest in the world when you think of it that way, but they're not the most expensive by any means. I mean, you could literally spend 100 quid on 2 MAC brushes, and you know, you get 4 of them for the same price here. So as considering they are premium, it's still not as high as some other brush companies out there. So it'll be interesting to see how these go anyhow as we get on with them. I am impressed with them, like, as in they look amazing, they feel beautiful in your hand as you're using them, and it'll just be a case of to see whether I do keep reaching for them or not going forward. And you'll know that yourselves, like, as far as my videos go, because I'll either be using them or I won't. So yeah, that's those anyhow, and they are available in Boots at the moment. When I did my Shiv Stash video, they weren't on the Boots website, or they were sold out and there was a waiting list, but they are available at the moment. When I was in Boots today, the woman said, "What is the story with these?" Like, the woman who served me, she was like, everyone's coming in looking for them. Everyone wants to buy them, particularly the flat contour brush. And I was like, yeah, they're kind of a cool thing on the internet. She didn't really get it. And I told her how I was told on the internet where they were, because I actually didn't know they were in Galway. So thank you very much to, is it Jane? I hope I'm getting your name right. The viewer who let me know that they were available in Galway. So that's really handy. And yeah, those are the only four I'm going to get for the time being anyhow. But if you have any other information, guys, leave them below, or leave any information below, because it's good to share with everyone else. And I hope this was helpful, so I'll see you all in my next video. So long, guys.